What's poppin'? Jacques Slade here, and if you've been in the sneaker world or a part of the sneaker world for the last few years, you know that hype for sneakers isn't what it used to be. There was a time when anything from Nike basketball or that had Adidas boost or Yeezy's name or was just a Jordan retro would just go crazy on the internet. Fast forward a few years or months depending on how long you've been in the sneaker game, and that really isn't the case anymore, unless you mention the name Travis Scott. This is his latest collaboration with Jordan Brand, and based on the resale and hype around this sneaker, there is a lot more hype to come when it comes to his work with Jordan Brand. The one thing that I've been trying to find out with this collab is why the Air Jordan 6. There are a few obvious things that I can think of when it comes to Jordan signature shoes, like this being the shoe that Michael Jordan won his first championship in, but it also came out the same year that Travis Scott, aka Jacques Bergman Webster III, was born, 1991. Now, I can't confirm that is why they picked this model, but it seems like the most obvious reason. In addition to MJ's first championship, the Air Jordan 6 was also designed by Tinker Hatfield, and he was actually inspired by a Porsche. If you look at the rear of the shoe on the heel pull, you see that it takes the shape from the wing spoiler of a car. On this pair, Travis actually flipped the script a bit, and instead of the solid color plastic that we usually see on the heel, he used the translucent plastic that I'm going to say is black to match the other accents on the sneaker. The final touch there is the pop of infrared, which shows up in a bunch of places on the upper. Another place where we see the translucent plastic is on the tongue of the shoe. Quick fun fact, though most don't realize it, Tinker added those two holes in the tongue to make the shoe easier to put on your feet. Flipping to the back of the tongue, we see some of the custom work from Travis Scott. The normal materials on the back have actually been replaced with some distressed canvas that is frayed along the edges and around the holes. It isn't one of the most noticeable design features, but it does help complete that whole military vibe you get from the colorway. If you look further down the tongue, you get the Cactus Jack word mark, and though I think it is dope to have it on the shoe, it is in a place that no one is ever going to see it. Maybe it's just one of those like, hey, if you know kind of things, which I imagine will help fight against the fakes that are going to be out there. On the flip side of the tongue, Travis stayed with the whole canvas material and even included it on the lace cover with an infrared Jumpman logo. Now, though this pair does sport the Nike logo in infrared on the heel and on the insoles actually, the Jumpman logo appears just as many times on the outsole and on the infrared lace lock. And if you look at the right heel, the Nike Air logo is actually switched out for the Cactus Jack word logo, which also appears on the opposite side of the lace lock. And since we're talking about the laces, the trend of including multiple colors of laces on special releases continues with this pair. They come laced with medium olive laces, but you also get a yellow pair, which is going to give you a ton of contrast on this sneaker, or you can just rock with like this charcoal color pair to keep things a bit more subtle. I imagine I'll only rock with the charcoal or medium olive laces. I don't see myself pulling off the yellow pair, but I guess you never know. Speaking of not knowing, there was no way that Tinker would have known that Mike would go off during this season. Not only did he average 31.5 points per game, that year MJ was voted first team All-NBA, first team All-Defense, made his 7th straight All-Star appearance, and was also named the 1991 League MVP. Did I mention it was also the year he won his first championship? It's crazy to think that that was almost 30 years ago and this sneaker is still relevant today. Okay, getting back to the sneaker. The upper is dipped in a medium olive suede that extends from the toe to the heel. And in my opinion, it looks pretty slick against the backdrop of the black canvas on the tongue, the charcoal liner, the infrared hits, and then there's the black and sail midsole. The outsole is actually a milky white color that has a slight green tint to it. It's not as drastic as a glow-in-the-dark colorway, but it is pretty close to it. Of course, the rest of the outsole is black with the exception of the Jumpman logo, which is in infrared. Now, that actually leaves the one part of the shoe that deviates from the original, the stash pocket. Though it seems super random at first, the pocket doesn't actually stray too far from the original design of the Air Jordan 6. If you are familiar with the model, you know it has those bubbles on the ankle. I don't think that's the technical term for them, but it's kind of what they remind me of, bubbles. The stash pocket actually sits on the lateral side of both shoes and it features a button to keep it locked in. And when you open it, you actually have the Cactus Jack logo, which you don't see anywhere else on the shoe. With the military vibes on the shoe, the stash pocket actually works with this design, almost like the extra pocket on the side of a pair of cargo pants. So if I had to rank this model with the rest of the kicks for Travis Scott, I think I would put it near the top. In my mind, the Air Jordan 4 is my favorite. That blue on there is crazy, and I honestly like the Jordan 4 silhouette more than I like the Air Jordan 6 silhouette. Next would be the Jordan 1 High. The materials on those are really, really good, and I think when those wear in, they're going to be just beautiful. They also have what I would consider to be a real stash pocket since it isn't as obvious, but that's just me. After those two, I believe that's where this model lands. Above the Trunner and above the Air Force Ones as well, and definitely above the Jordan 1 Low. Not that those are bad, but I think this collaboration is cooler than those. This definitely feels unique to Travis Scott in my mind. Like, I don't see this coming together without his input, or to be better stated, the culture accepting it without Travis Scott actually being attached to the shoe. And yeah, I think that's about it. If you're watching this and you want to grab a pair of these, they're only available on resale sites at the moment. Unless Jordan plans a mystery restock at some point, you never know what's going to happen, especially with Travis taking note of how hard it was to get a pair of these. Fingers crossed they do show some more love. Anyway, guys, I'm Jacques Slade. This is the Air Jordan 6 Travis Scott. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace.